every major sports injury.
Those back ones scare me though. Lower back
Spine,
ones.
yeah, yes, absolutely. Like a back injury is the injury. There might be a couple more, but it's really the injury where it's the most debilitating.
Yeah.
You know, like just about any other major joint or anything that you could injure in training, whether that's like strength and conditioning or jiu-jitsu, martial arts, whatever, you can still find a way to train if you're disciplined enough and if you have smart enough coaching, if you have good enough people around you, you'll be able to train indefinitely.
Right.
When you injure your back, not.
You're out, dude.
Yeah.
You're bedridden.
Yeah, they're terrible.
Is that what happened to you? With your back?
Yeah,
I don't know the story. Like, what happened to your back?
So the first time I experienced a back injury, I was at a seminar, at an Olympic weightlifting seminar in Fort Lauderdale, and I was going to snatch a PR. I was training, being coached by coaching Olympic style weightlifting, so snatch and clean and jerk.
Okay.
Man, this must have been in like 2013 or something like that.
Yeah.
And I went to snatch a PR and I felt something pop in my back. I felt something pop in my low back. I like collapsed over the bars, this whole big show. And I got an MRI and I had L4 and L5 completely bulged. Similar story that a lot of people have that train in strength sports.
Right.
You know, martial arts as well.
Yeah.
But that injury kind of chased me for the rest of my career. So like for the rest of my training career, I was always mitigating, training around, learning more about back injury, spine health, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera.
Oh, okay. Mm-hmm. So how did you get into the fitness world, I guess you would say? Because correct me if you're wrong. I thought that like a CrossFit's the trend really started in the 2000s.
So I did my first CrossFit workout in 2007.
Is that when it started, like that trend of CrossFit? Because I don't know if maybe.
Yeah, I mean, CrossFit started before that. CrossFit was a training methodology that was founded by a gentleman named Greg Glassman in California in the early 2000s.
Okay.
It's a training methodology that was early adopted by the MMA community, the martial arts community, the police community, military, servicemen and women, et cetera, et cetera.
Yeah.
It's a functional style. In its purest sense, it's a strength and conditioning program.
Okay.
Is what CrossFit is. CrossFit is a training methodology that involves multiple different kinds of functional styles of fitness.
Okay.
Kind of into one system.
Okay.
And they've taken that system and they've added elements of competition and sport to it. And the concept behind that is it will keep people wanting to train more, wanting to get better. There's a data collection concept with CrossFit as well, where you're constantly logging data and all of your progress, so you can see your progress over an extended period of time.
Right.
So that's where you have that like competition element where you want to continuously push and get better at this concept called CrossFit. And the idea is the more you do that, the more you push yourself towards fitness, the further you're going to push yourself away from sickness.
That makes sense.
You know what I mean? So like what we were talking about it before we started recording, that like in a CrossFit gym, in a good CrossFit gym, you're going to oftentimes see like two communities happening. You're going to see the guys that compete in the sport of CrossFit, and you're going to see the general population that takes CrossFit classes.
Okay.
And does CrossFit for their like fitness.
Right. To stay fit.
Exactly.
And then when did you start like getting into that?
Like I said, I did my first CrossFit workout in 2007. After that, I
because you have two schools, you have one in Miami and one in Fort Lauderdale, and one in Fort Lauderdale. So I'm kind of curious how you started, because I'm sure that you didn't do your first CrossFit exercise like, I'm going to open up a CrossFit gym.
Absolutely, man. Opening a CrossFit gym was never a part.
So how did you get there
at all, bro? So the first CrossFit gym that I started formally training at was the first gym that opened up in like the Kendall area where I was living at the time.
Really?
Yeah. So I was the first client who signed up at this gym.
Oh, so you were the first client too?
The first client at this, yeah, one of the first gyms in Miami-Dade County in 2007, 2008.
Right.
And soon thereafter, the gym needed people to work there. The gym needed people to volunteer their time. And I kind of took it upon myself to learn as much as I could about CrossFit and fitness. Up to that point, my life had revolved around punk rock, playing music, street culture, street life, like typical Miami dude growing up in that culture, and fitness, coaching, none of that was like a part of the story at all. So being at this gym, it was like a very grassroots style gym, and I took it upon myself to learn as much as I could about training and fitness.
Okay.
And I opened Soul in 2010.
Okay. Yeah.
Yeah. So we opened.
Wow. So you guys have been open 14 years?
We've been open for 14
Dude,
years.
that's an accomplishment.
Yeah. We opened our second gym a year and a half ago.
Okay.
So when Soul opened in 2010, essentially like the gym that we were at was falling apart, and I needed a place to take my community. All these people, we worked so hard on building this great crew there, and everybody needed a place to train. So naturally I like took it upon myself to find a warehouse, and I did it all super DIY, like all the ethics and everything that I learned in like the punk rock culture that I was involved in, I applied to fitness, to that. Like there was no overarching overall business plan to open a gym. The coolest thing about CrossFit at that time for me was like I walked into a CrossFit gym and it felt very much like it was like the punk rock of fitness.
That makes sense to me.
Yeah. Like it checked a lot of those boxes for me. And when I walked in there, it looked and felt like Churchill's to me. Like it was it had that feel. And up to that point, part of the reason why like athletic training, so like I didn't play sports growing up, nothing.
Yeah.
I was, it was just not appealing to me until I found like a community that looked and felt like that.
Oh, so it was the community that really brought you into training, I guess, CrossFit and that element of it. But I guess from when you started, you said in 2007 to 2010, there was a lot of growth and learning that you had to go under in order to be able to provide this service and provide this business to the people that you open to now. How was that process like?
So
did you do it like, was it just based off your passion, or did you actually take like a structured approach to do it?
A little bit of both.
Okay.
So like I said, like I attribute a lot of my success and the things that I've learned to the culture that I grew up in prior to CrossFit, which was like booking shows and playing in hardcore punk rock metal bands. All my formative years were doing that. That was like the subculture that I was involved in. My whole formative life was in that culture. So, in that era, there was not a lot of CrossFit to be consumed. There was not YouTube. There was no podcast.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah, it was like the early days of Facebook. Like we were still promoting CrossFit stuff, I think on MySpace, maybe. I don't even know. But in the CrossFit culture, there was a very heavy movement of message boards.
Okay.
So it's like downloading as many books as I could, traveling to meet coaches, taking as many seminars and certifications as I could, and taking it upon myself to learn as much as I could about the sport of Olympic weightlifting, powerlifting, CrossFit in general, aerobic training, endurance sports, et cetera, just so I can learn how to coach and make my clients better.
Right.
Again, I was at this gym that I was essentially running for a couple of years. And after a certain point, we just decided that we wanted to do our own thing. So we opened Team Soul. It was in 2010. And we opened a really small location. Like I said, Churchill's, just a couple minutes ago. That's exactly what our first gym looked like.
That's pretty cool though.
Yeah.
That's pretty cool. And actually, I know somebody that used to train at your gym at that gym. I think it was the first one. How many gyms have you had in Miami?
We've moved 4 times.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
So it was the one before the one that you moved to now.
We've had 4 locations.
Yeah, and everybody that's talked about your gym has always been very positive. I've never heard anybody say, like, I'm not in the world, but everybody said that your gym is amazing.
Yeah, man, we work very hard at what we do. It's like a labor of love. We're really proud of the product that we put out on the floor.
Yeah.
We're really proud of like all of the diverse communities that we serve. It's not very easy to give world-class coaching to as many different demographics as we do. And we like foster a really strong community all under one roof.
How do you do that? How do you balance the people that, like you were saying, there was 2 communities, right? There's the people that compete and they have a competitive, regimen. And then you have the people that are like I guess hobbyists is what they call them in the jiu-jitsu world, that would just go in and get fitness and get training in. How do you manage those two types of structures in your gym?
It's complicated, but what we try to do is involve our community in every different aspect of what we do. So we try not to like isolate groups of people
Okay.
at our gym. It's
So you don't separate those.
No. We really like we separate the training.
Okay. Yeah.
Yeah, we separate the classes and the training and the programming and the styles of coaching that we give to these folks. But like our Olympic weightlifters at Seoul support the CrossFit community, and the CrossFitters support the powerlifters, and everyone is homies with the GGT guys that come in and train pressure. And it's, we've fostered this incredibly supportive community under one roof, and everybody wants to see each other win. And what's interesting about that too is what happens often in all of these sports, jiu-jitsu included, is the burnout is real. And if you're at a good enough gym, and if you're following a good enough program, your coaches, the people around you, should be able to redirect you to other forms of fitness and styles of training to help prevent your burnout. So that's another big reason why like my gym looks and feels like that. It's because it's been open for as long as it has been. So we've evolved tremendously, and we continue serving all of those different people.
Which is what you do when it comes to different types of training, because you have that jiu-jitsu in both your locations. You have GGT and you have the Hilly and Gracie over there in Fort Lauderdale.
Correct.
Which is exactly what you mentioned.
You have that. Yeah, so it's like a constant revolving door of like, hey man, you're a little burned out with powerlifting. Let's try some jiu-jitsu.
Yeah.
Oh, you're a little bit burned out with Brazilian jiu-jitsu. Check out our running program. When we first started, we were 100% only a CrossFit gym with a heavy leaning towards Olympic style weightlifting. Okay. Because at first, like when I learned about Olympic style weightlifting, all of my education and everything that I consumed, all the coaches that I went out to train under and did certifications with, we're mostly in that space. Okay. So like our program was a CrossFit gym with a heavy lean towards Olympic style weightlifting.
So I guess my question is like, how has that gone with you integrating jiu-jitsu into your gym and into that style of gym? Have you seen that, as you were saying, that you have these programs for people to cross train in these different types of fitness? Have you seen that that's helped out with the burnout?
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely.
Like in your personal experience?
Yeah. That is quite literally my story. I'm a multi-sport athlete. I use air quotes because I'm very well like retired and competing
but
and training like an athlete.
They were very strong air quotes. It looked very strong. It looked very fit of you.
They're very fit air
They were
quotes.
very fit.
Yeah. So that's not like a focus of mine right now. Business and family is a little bit more of my personal priority, but my gym is a reflection of me, man. Like all of the programs that we do at my gym, I currently do. I really believe in, I have curated with my team, and it's helped me prevent my burnout. Like I have gone as far as competing in powerlifting on a national level, competing in Brazilian jiu-jitsu, competing as a runner most recently, and like things that are across multiple spectrums of athleticism, training CrossFit, competing in CrossFit. Yeah. All of these different things that kind of all still check the same box, which is fitness.
Dude, and also it keeps fitness kind of entertaining at the same time.
For sure.
You being able to offer all those types of programs at your academy, like not just the weightlifting, but also the jiu-jitsu, and having that running there, it keeps people entertained, because maybe you don't want to do weightlifting, you want to try jiu-jitsu class and be able to have that available without going somewhere else. Mm-hmm. It's pretty awesome.
Well, like I agree. And I think what's very important for us and my team, I haven't talked enough about my team. If it was not for those guys that you see me coaching and working with and spending all my time within that gym, when you walk through that gym and you go to do jiu-jitsu, we would not be where we are, not even close. Yeah. So the gym is a reflection of us. All of those guys that you see all train in all of those different disciplines. When they start running, our whole community starts running.
That's pretty cool.
When we start doing jiu-jitsu, our whole community starts doing jiu-jitsu. When we're powerlifting, it's not uncommon to see us compete in multiple different sports throughout the year, right, in our gym. And that's
true.
Yeah, and that's what our clients do.
That's pretty cool. Mm-hmm. So like, how did you transition into jiu-jitsu? I know we talked about it a little bit. Could you just jump into that for a second? Because
for sure.
Because jiu-jitsu is, I wouldn't say it's a huge transfer, because our communities kind of overlap. But to consider that, bring it into a weightlifting, I don't think that's something that's common.
Well, it's definitely not common. It's becoming more common.
It is.
I think you're seeing a lot of like old CrossFit guys now starting to retire into jiu-jitsu, some kind of grappling sport. I do think that it's a very similar community. The jiu-jitsu community looks and feels like CrossFit did in like 2010.
Okay.
To be honest with you.
Okay.
You know,
How so?
It just the people that it's currently appealing to right now.
Okay.
It's a very similar culture and looking. I think that's why Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu academies fit in my gym so well, because we have a very old school, traditional style of CrossFit gym. And both of my CrossFit gyms have two great quality schools in both of them.
Yeah, they do.
And I think it's because it's a very similar look and feel community. In those days, the people that were walking into CrossFit gyms were cops, same kind of people that walk into jiu-jitsu academies right now.
That's
punk rock kids who smoke a lot of weed, the same kind of people who walk into jiu-jitsu academies right now.
True.
And then a lot of families, you know, and everybody in between. But it's a very similar surfer, punk rock, hip hoppy type of look and feel of culture, to be very honest with you.
Yeah.
So I think that's why it's just like an easy transition for a guy like me, for guys like us to have, you know, wanted to explore that side of our fitness, you know. To answer your question, the first time I grappled, the first time I ever did a jiu-jitsu was in 2018, was actually in Tennessee. I was visiting a very good friend of mine who is from Miami. He's got a big family. All his kids, or two of his kids, used to train Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu here in Miami. They moved to Tennessee. They knew we trained. We're a bunch of fitness guys, whatever. They took us to like a gi Jiu-Jitsu class in Tennessee.
Yeah.
It was a great experience. I came down and at my gym, there was a really talented young kid named Andres Aleman, who is an ex-high school wrestler. He's had a couple MMA fights, and he was a purple belt at the time. And we used to just take out mats and train at the gym. He started training me, one other guy. You know, we start training on Fridays. We start doing these little open mats. 2 people turn into 4 people, turns into 6 people. More people from our, you know, old wrestlers who used to come to our gym start coming by and start training with us very informally, you know, starting 2-3 times a week. And then after that, we jumped around to a few different academies. You know, I've trained at, I believe, 4 different academies in South Florida until I found the Hilly and Gracie guys. When I found them, I started training sometimes twice a day. You know, I was very committed to training in the gi. You know, and that's like how my jiu-jitsu experience began. And we've always made it a point to train at our gym. Always.
At your gym. Okay.
Yes, always.
So
that's kind of how that grew. Like whatever academy we were going to, whatever we were doing, we were just having these little open mats where we were bringing different guys that I would meet in the community and ask them to come teach us some stuff. You know, and we all went to different academies, but we would come, you know, on a Friday or whatever, we would have someone come teach us some stuff at the gym, have a little open mat, and our clients seeing us doing that is kind of how that started to grow. And I think how that fit just started to make sense.
Yeah, it's kind of organic the way you're talking
Super
about it. So
organic,
it's like, so it's like you started training jiu-jitsu there, and then all of a sudden that space, it grew, and you need to create that space for the jiu-jitsu. Same thing that happened in CrossFit, kind of. With your story in CrossFit, that you kind of just, the community needed a community to have space for itself to I guess to grow.
Well, you know, in sequence, we opened the Fort Lauderdale Gym about 2 years ago. And I was training at Hilly and Gracie full time, like I said. And we found a location, and it had a really nice size room, and we felt it jiu-jitsu fit perfectly in there. We approached those guys with a business plan, and it's gone great ever since.
That's awesome.
In the Miami gym, we had a very large space where GGT is now. That used to be our cardio room. So that room used to be full of...
You love the air quotes.
It's a cardio room. We had assault bikes and echo bikes and Concept 2 machines. All the cardio machines you see like spread out in Seoul now, we're all in that room.
Okay.
Yeah. And when I met Carmichael and Kianush, we started talking about, you know...
Which is pretty awesome that you met those 2 guys.
I met him walking my dog in my old apartment.
Really?
Carmichael, yeah. I had just competed at like Pans or Miami Open or something.
Okay.
This, I guess, was in 2022 or
Okay.
something like that.
Yeah.
I was walking my dog.
Also, that was 2022. I mean, I'm behind on my time. That's 2 years ago. Okay.
Yeah. It's two, maybe even 3 years ago.
Okay.
I was walking my dog and I was wearing a IBJJF, either Pans or Miami Open shirt, and he was like, jiu-jitsu. And I was like, yeah, jiu-jitsu. What's
Very
up?
typical jiu-jitsu guy.
Yeah.
Jiu-jitsu.
Yeah. And I actually started going to his parents' house to train.
Oh yeah, because he has like a house in the back where he has like mats, right?
Yep. They have a very cool, very authentic, super
fits perfectly in your gym, like the style of your gym.
Yeah. And I was going to these open mats and like these like informal classes in their garage. And they had so many people interested in what they were doing. And they were incredibly smart at how they taught jiu-jitsu and the instructionals that they watched and the way, not just like what they watched, but also the way that they were able to deliver a message.
Yeah.
You
That's
know,
important.
and they were gaining so much interest. And I was like, yo, I have this room. I have this space. We're doing this thing in Fort Lauderdale. What do you guys think about that? And one thing led to the other, and here we are.
So, and like in terms of cross training, like, what are the major mistakes that you see, which is something I really want to ask you mainly for me, but what are the major mistakes you see jiu-jitsu guys do when it comes to training? In terms of not jiu-jitsu, but like conditioning.
Lack thereof.
There we go. That's mine right there.
Yeah. I think that's the biggest L that a lot of guys who train high volume Brazilian jiu-jitsu take in the strength and conditioning world is they don't do enough of it.
Okay.
You know, I think that I don't think that doing strength and conditioning is going to make you better at jiu-jitsu.
Oh, okay. Interesting.
I do not think so. I think that elements of strength and conditioning are going to make you a better athlete.
Okay.
And I think the better of an athlete that you become, you're going to be able to express your jiu-jitsu in many different ways better. So I don't think it's very linear.
I get what you're saying.
You know, I think that strength, because I think there are too many talking heads in the strength and conditioning world that really do believe that the more you do is going to make you a better jiu-jitsu. And I don't necessarily buy into that concept. And I also don't think every single person that trains Brazilian jiu-jitsu needs to follow such a fully comprehensive strength and conditioning program.
Oh, really?
I think there's like bits and pieces and elements that guys can take to apply to their game to make them better at Brazilian jiu-jitsu.
To their specific style, you're saying? Or
not necessarily to their specific game, but to their strengths and their weaknesses.
Okay.
You know, I think guys that compete at a very high level don't have time to train in the gym 3 hours a day, every single day, because that's really what it takes to follow something that's fully comprehensive. I think that those guys need to work with a personalized coach, someone like me, someone like, you know, the guys at my gym.
Right.
And we design a custom approach for guys.
Right.
You know?
Because that's important. Like that the understanding, I guess, understanding that the person that they're individuals, you know, that you can't just give them a slate of this is what I'm applying to everybody. Everybody's going to do it. So especially if you're a professional athlete, you're trying to get to the next level.
It should be as much of a customized approach as possible. We offer a group program for strength and conditioning jiu-jitsu athletes.
Okay.
But the way that it's structured so that you can kind of like pick your own adventure, so to speak. Look at that. That's my third air quote.
Yeah.
You can almost like choose.
But they look good. They're really good.
They're very strong.
They're very strong. They're good.
I think it's the Miami in me that I talk with my hands so much.
Yeah, I do too. I do too. It's fine.
But that's how our program is structured. So you can kind of pick your own path based off of what your weaknesses are in your jiu-jitsu game. Because there's guys.
What do you mean by weaknesses? I'm sorry to interrupt you, but like, what do you mean by weaknesses in your jiu-jitsu?
So like most people would say, man, I need to strength train.
Okay.
Or I need to condition more.
Yeah.
Or I need to get my back healthy.
Right.
Or I have a weak core. Or I don't recover well.
Okay.
Or whatever the case may be. And we custom tailor programs to check boxes for people individually. And the way that our program is structured now, it's structured so you can kind of sift through it and pick what your priorities are going to be. Now, if you're somebody who's disciplined enough and has the time and you want to put in all that time, but realistically, most guys that train jits are not going to be in the gym that many times a week.
Right.
You know?
Right. They prefer to be on the mat and all that stuff.
Yeah. And being on the mats is what is going to make you better at jiu-jitsu.
Yeah. It's kind of cool that you broke them down. Like clarify that being getting stronger and working on your conditioning isn't going to make your jiu-jitsu better. The way that I saw that, or at least the way that you explain it, is kind of like your strength and conditioning is a vessel for you to be able to express your jiu-jitsu better.
Yeah. It can help make you a better athlete. And I don't think there's any argument that the more athletic you become and the more well-rounded you become, you're going to be a better jiu-jitsu athlete.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah, that makes sense. That makes sense. And I think that being that you have access to jiu-jitsu and having that gym at the same time, you're able to really evaluate the athletes a lot better.
Yeah.
It gives you some data.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah. We talked about data. That's such like a huge part of like what we do as coaches as well. We collect a lot of data from our clients and we like always tracking their progress, whether we're talking about nutrition, whether we're talking about.
Oh, so you do nutrition too?
Yeah. We do nutrition programs at the gym. I don't think you can have a well-rounded fitness program, or you can call yourself a fit person if you're not, taking nutrition into consideration. So nutrition is a huge thing of what we do at the gym.
That's awesome, dude.
Whether we're talking about weight gain, weight loss, weight management, weight cutting, we coach multiple sports where we cut a lot of weight. We do strength and conditioning for wrestlers, grapplers, Olympic weightlifters, power lifters, all people who have to make weight.
Yeah, I've heard you talk about weight cutting, like when the competition's coming up, that you kind of like tell them how they need to do it.
Yeah, again, we take a custom approach to the individual. First we have to look at what your nutrition protocol has been, what you've been doing for training, what your camp has been like, what your lead up has been like, what your normal daily habits are. Like if you've never experimented with manipulating water, we're probably not going to do a water cut, for example.
Oh, okay. Interesting.
Right?
So what would you do like if it wasn't, because the only weight cutting that I know is a water cutting.
Well, I mean, you can also diet,
right, okay, but that's the hard way.
I mean, that's probably the smartest way.
Right.
For a lot of reasons, for inflammatory purposes, for mental health purposes, for fitness, wellness, et cetera, et cetera. I don't think there's any debate about that. Now, athletes need to eat highly calorically dense foods for sure.
Okay.
And you'll oftentimes, and I'm not going to say I'm an advocate of this, but you'll see athletes putting down food that you would not normally recommend or be okay with other people doing, just because they need the calories.
Right. Hey, you're putting in 2 or 3 days a week on the mat or lifting, and bro, you can eat that hamburger.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
But the problem is that people see athletes do it and they're like, oh, I can do it too.
Yeah, that's definitely, even as an athlete, you can make better decisions. You can eat highly calorically dense food without having to go to McDonald's.
Yeah.
You can definitely do that with eating more. There's better options for calorically dense stuff.
Yeah.
Complete trash.
So you're saying I can't eat McDonald's?
Hey, bro.
I mean, once in a while,
do whatever you want.
I'm just kidding. Yeah, that's interesting, man. How do you feel about, I guess the progress that you made so far? Because from opening from a warehouse, from my understanding, and then having these 2 gyms, what do you see as the future for these for Team Soul and I guess jiu-jitsu in general in general?
Yeah, man. Well, I'm very happy with the growth of my gyms. I'm very happy with where we're at. We want to continue growing in the same fashion. We don't really have a desire to open more gyms. I want to keep things as intimate and as small as we can. And I want to continue doing what we're doing on the highest level. That's really what I want to do. I don't think there's necessarily a growth goal associated with our gyms and what the future is in store for us. I just want to continue delivering programs, serving our clients at the highest level possible. That's what I try to put at a premium every single day.
Right.
And not try to look too much more beyond that, to be honest with you. Try to handle with what's in front of me and what's real and what I'm doing in that moment and try to execute on it, like I said, on the highest level. So as long as we continue doing that every day and doing that as well as we can, I believe we'll continue growing and keep killing it.
Yeah, you guys are doing a great job. So in terms of jiu-jitsu and the industry, because now that you kind of have, I don't want to say you own the gym, but you sublease it.
No, I mean, I own the gym.
I mean, I'm sorry.
We sublease our space from a landlord. Right. Yeah.
So you're kind of in the game when it comes to jiu-jitsu. Do you see are you at least aware of the fluctuations that are happening now in the sport?
Yeah,
what's your perspective on it?
Yeah, it's really funny that you said that. What I said before, I really mean. jiu-jitsu, especially no-gi submission grappling, really looks and feels like CrossFit did in 2010, 11, 12, 13. There's a huge boom happening in that now. Now, that's not a disrespect to Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu. Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu is a much older culture and has been around way longer than CrossFit.
Right.
But I'm talking about like the ADCC hungry submission grappling culture that exists at the moment really does look and feel like that. It's growing at a very similar rate. I think that you're going to start seeing more sponsors get in the space. I think you're going to see more competitions get in the space. Right now, there's somewhat of a monopoly on like the highest level, what we call world championships. There's only one opportunity for people to compete in the quote unquote world championships at the moment.
Right.
That is really just, you know, something that those guys, nothing against any of that, but that's a name that was given to them like that.
Right.
You know, there's not a lot of opportunities for guys to compete on that level. So I think you're going to start seeing way more opportunities. I think the boom of the UFC and people, honestly, like Joe Rogan during COVID did a whole lot for Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu.
Yeah.
And I think that is a strong correlation.
What do you mean? Like, what do you think that he did for Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu?
Just putting guys on the biggest podcast in the world.
Oh, I see what you're saying.
You know what I'm saying?
Okay.
And like, what was happening during COVID?
Nothing.
Fucking Tiger King and UFC.
Tiger King, dude. That's
Tiger King, people getting canceled on the internet, and UFC.
Yeah, people were
That
bored.
is it.
Yeah.
And no-gi submission grappling looks and feels a lot like that.
Yeah.
And there were people watching that and then listening to those guys on Rogan, and then they would put no-gi guys on. And that's when that really boom started to happen, in my opinion.
Yeah.
You know, and I really do think it looks and feels like the same boom and growth of CrossFit. And I think if people were smart about that, they would look at the space like that, at the rate that it's growing.
Yeah, it's growing pretty quickly. And I think that as the rate that it's growing, there's a lot of other type of tournaments that are coming out now that we're starting to see like spring out. Seen a bunch. I like the different rule sets, but I'm a huge fan of like submission only type of rule set.
Yeah, I mean, it's definitely the most exciting rule set to watch.
Yeah.
ADCC has for sure
they killed it.
Given that to the space. It's definitely the best jiu-jitsu to watch, in my opinion.
Yeah, because I think that especially if you're trying to bring in new eyes to jiu-jitsu, the gi can kind of make it. I like the gi. I do
as well. So I trained in the gi today.
Yeah.
Shout out to Tommy, 10 o'clock at JiuJitsu, my dog.
Yeah.
I trained today. You know what I mean? Like, but yeah, like for look, it's the same thing. The average person sitting at home watching gi jiu-jitsu.
Exactly, dude. That's what I was getting at.
There's a few unique guys that are incredibly electrifying and great to watch.
Yeah.
But for the most part, the matches are not that fun to watch.
And it's complicated too. It's like, it's very complicated when it comes to the gripping systems, and you're seeing all these De La Rivas and this, I guess, lasso guards and all that stuff. And
World Championships, not ending via submission, which is super whack.
Yeah. Yeah. Like if you're watching that on TV and you don't know anything about jiu-jitsu, the translation is you're not gonna get what's going on really.
It's a lot clearer to watch submission grappling and understand what they're doing and the objective.
Yeah.
You know,
because everybody, when you're a kid and you're growing up, you wrestle with your brothers or you wrestle with your cousins, you wrestle with your friends, whatever.
Or at least you fucking watch wrestling. Like you definitely
you
are plugged in somewhere.
Yeah, you kind of understand that you want to dominate the other human being and twist his body.
Yeah.
So it's easy to understand. But if you add the gi onto that, like I said, I love the gi. I'm not trying to, it sounds like I'm trashing the gi pretty hard.
I don't think so.
But I train in the gi. I train in the gi too. But I think that just in purpose to help the sport grow, we need to have the focus on no-gi just so more eyes can get on it.
Yeah, you could probably change the rule set to some gi jiu-jitsu and make it more exciting.
Yeah.
You know, like some of the fights that the flow guys have on tend to be a little bit more exciting than some of the stuff you see in IBJJF. You know where IBJJF seems to do a pretty good job is like those Grand Prix.
Yeah, the last one was pretty good.
Yeah, those are dope. You know, so there's hope. I still
they also
think there's
brought
a
in
lot
some really good athletes too.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, you put up those monster super fights, as long as you encourage submission only, because that's really what the goal is.
Yeah.
You know,
because if not, then people are gonna play these games, these like all point games.
Yeah.
And then it turns into something else. Then it's not really about the submission anymore. It's about those points.
You're not hunting for submission. So yeah, ADCC has come up with an incredible rule set and format that encourages that kind of action. So someone like my mom and dad, because that has to be the goal.
Right.
If people like my mom and dad are buying into something, you're doing something right. That has to be the goal. I mean, like, if you're talking about marketing on a really big level, if you're talking about selling and marketing and driving things on a really big level, if like normal folks can watch something and have a good relationship with it and understand it's not confusing for them,
right?
You know, I think that there's hope. So that's
for sure. And I think that's the thing is that there's a lot of, I don't know if this is the proper terminology, but there's a lot of remarketing. So we'll market within the community of jiu-jitsu.
Yeah.
But if you really want the sport to grow, we need new eyes.
Yeah.
And the only way to do that is get entertaining fights, entertaining grapplers, and make sure that the rule set allows them to act the way that's supposed to act during a match. And the ADC is doing great for that. But I also like that there's other events that are coming out as well that are pretty nice to see and to watch on a daily basis. Because ADCC is twice a year. And if we really wanted to grow, we need to see more active events.
Yeah. You're right. Well, it's every 2 years.
Yeah, every
Besides that,
2 years,
you have the trials, which are incredibly. Those are great to watch too.
Yeah.
Shit, you want to compare watching like a Miami Open to an ADCC East Coast Trials? What?
Yeah.
Not even close, dude.
People rolling off the mat onto people. Yeah. It's pretty entertaining.
I mean, compare a PANS to an ADCC trial. Like there's nothing like watching that. You know what I think is a fundamental thing that needs to be introduced to space is more money for guys. Like, I work with a couple of guys that really could be training at a higher level if they had support.
Yeah.
You know, I think that's super important. That needs to happen in the space, and that will happen over time with more growth. But like the more opportunities guys have to compete, you're going to see more sponsorships come into the space. You're going to see more opportunities for them, not only to sell instructionals, but to do more, because right now that's really the game.
Yeah.
You know, you're starting to see some guys sell more merch, which I think is very important. More people should take that into consideration. That's something that we've done at the beginning of our gym. Like I said, like, we grew up and we followed like a DIY punk rock ethos at Team Soul always. Yeah. So I think like a growth formula, and if you had a jiu-jitsu academy, you're looking at that, make fucking merch. Make cool merch.
That's a really good point, because you see a lot of gyms that they will have a good program or they'll be teaching, but they're missing that revenue opportunity when it comes to merchandise.
Well, no offense if you're out at an academy like this, but a lot of academies, you know, will make people buy all of their merch.
Right.
So they have actually figured that out. Whether it's cool or not, whether you want to buy it or not is a different story. But you have to buy it because you have to wear it at the school. Right. You know, so I would say some guys have most definitely figured that shit out.
But they could also maximize it by making more variable and making more, I guess, more merches.
Just come up with, like, have a brand. You know, have a brand. Like, I think that's what's, I don't know. That's what we have.
Oh, I see what you mean.
We have put just as much time and energy into coaching and developing our business as making our brand.
I see what you're saying now.
You know, like, you walk into my gym and it does not feel like a normal garage style gym. No. You know, it looks more like there should be a punk rock show in there, like a fucking tattoo shop or a skate park.
Yeah, it kind of does. The tattoo shop is what I was thinking.
Yeah, and that's how, and look, and this is what I was trying to say before, like, that's what makes it possible for us to be as great as we are, because we feel comfortable there. And we spend hours on hours on hours. I want to be there. It's a cool environment. Yeah. And that is what is always going to lead what I and we do at my gym, is doing cool shit. Yeah. Making a cool brand, making our place cool, making our place fun, coaching at the highest level that we can in the things that we choose to train in. That's what makes, like, my gym magical. Yeah. You know, and having a cool brand is a big part of that. Again, to go back to, like, the fucking punk rock thing that I keep talking about, you know, designing logos for the bands that I was playing in, or the show, you know, making flyers for the shows that I was booking, or reading inserts of records or whatever. That was such, like, a big part of how I grew up. So I take that same energy and I do it at my gym.
That's awesome.
100% at my gym.
And other people get excited too. If that's the amount of attention, you're really just building a place for people to go. Like, like to enjoy going, not just a place for people to, you know what I'm saying? Dude,
these kids spend 6 hours a day at my place.
And they love it.
They love it. And for some people, that's a short day. Like, you know, we definitely promote that culture.
And that passes
For
on
sure.
to anybody that comes in that's new. You know, I know that when I walked into the gym for the first time, you being able to create that environment, you feel it. Like people are happy.
Everybody gets said hello to.
Yeah.
I don't care what kind of mood you're in, what kind of day you're having. Like, our gym is super diverse. It's very inclusive. There's so many different types of people who have so many different interests. Everybody gets respect and everybody gets said hello to, because you never know when, like, that person, when you're gonna need that person, when that person's gonna train with you, and person's gonna be a training partner, a coach, whatever the case may be. You never know what they're there for. They might be a black belt walking into GGT to go fucking decapitate everybody. Or they might be walking in, it might be their first day of CrossFit.
Yeah.
Like, you might have, you have no idea who's what. Look, typical CrossFit class at my gym, 9 a.m., right? It's like 30% moms, right? There could be a CrossFit Games, an ex-CrossFit Teams Games athlete taking the class. My mom could be in the class. That's a super diverse population, from like moms and pops, some elderly folks, and CrossFit Games athletes and grapplers, literally sharing the same experience in the same class.
Yeah, and going back to what you were saying, like everybody gets said hello to. You don't know if that person going in is having like a terrible fucking day.
Yeah.
And if you go in there and you feel that environment, it makes you want to kind of go back. It's kind of like a peaceful place for you to be at.
Look, we love like being, counterculture, edgy. We talk a lot of shit. We push a lot of buttons. We're super unruly. We've gotten in some trouble doing shit like that, whatever. But there's these posters when you walk into the gym. You should look at them when you walk into the gym. It's on the left side, right when you walk into the gym, before that big giant S. And one of them is be the best part of our client's day. So like, as much as we fuck around, as much as we talk shit, like that is number one.
Yeah.
Like that is our ethos. We're like, you walk into Team Soul, you're there to like forget about all the bullshit. You're there to forget about stresses at work or at home or whatever, what have you.
Yeah.
We're there to like talk about your goals, set up training programs to help you reach your goals personally, professionally, whatever that is.
Yeah.
And we're there to like create an environment around that and around our people. And that's me. Like, that's who we've always been.
Is that just come natural to you, like building that environment? Or did it take some work?
No, sure. Yes, dude. Like, yes, it took work. I work my fucking ass off. I work very hard at what I do. I only have one mode, and it is work, and it is work hard. So yes, everything's taken a lot of work, but I almost feel bad like calling it work, because it's been so fulfilling and it's like kind of easy a lot. I don't know. Like,
because you like what you do.
I fucking love what I do.
Right.
I could never quantify and imagine being repaid financially, even close, for the amount of work that I've put in over shit. My gym's been open for 14 years, but I was, running another gym for 2.5 years before that. Like, there's not a dollar amount that could even come close to it. So like, I have a hard time calling it work. Don't you get paid for work?
Yeah, that's true. That's a good point.
It's not, dude. It's just like, sounds corny, but it's a lifestyle. It really is, dude. Like, it's just like what I do, bro. It's like what we do, what I do all day, every day. And the gym is a reflection of that. Like I keep saying.
Yeah, man. That's awesome. That's awesome that you created that space for that. And I know that you're working on something else online.
Yeah. So
I kind of want to know the idea of how you jumped from that. Like, what was for the combat athletes, the application that you have? How did you get to that idea?
Yeah. So like I said, when we first opened the gym, we did one thing only. It's CrossFit. I think it's very easy to get like confused with all the offerings and all the different things we're talking about, but that's like what we originally did. And we really focused on delivering that, like I keep saying, at the highest level, and offering a CrossFit style of coaching. And I'm going to be very bold and big in saying this, but a CrossFit style of coaching that does not exist anywhere in South Florida.
Boom, you guys heard it here first.
There's not one place. There might be other places for you that check the community box better, that check whatever other box better. But if training CrossFit at the highest level is what you're interested in, there is not one other place to train in South Florida that's not one of our Team Soul gyms. Zero. So originally, that's the only thing we focused on. As we started to grow, and serve our communities better and serve the CrossFit athlete better. Because like I said before, CrossFit is a discipline. It's a training discipline that includes several different modalities and styles of training, right? So like Olympic weightlifting. I want to make my CrossFitter better. I have to expose him or her to better styles of Olympic weightlifting because most CrossFitters Olympic weightlift like complete shit. So we learn more about that discipline and we develop a club and we have a weightlifting program. And then we do the same thing with powerlifting. And we've done the same thing with all of these disciplines. And we served, again, the super diverse community in the gym. And we were looking at all these programs we did in the gym so well. And we're like, yo, we need to put this online. Like we're already doing it every day. We're putting out programs for all of these different demographics and groups under the roof of one place every day. Let's put it online. So during COVID, we decided to diversify our online offerings and put everything on one platform. So now you can go to teamsoultraining.com and you can view all of the different offerings and styles of coaching that we have. You can follow them at your CrossFit gym, at your home gym, at any gym, anywhere you go.
Oh,
to.
cool. So like other CrossFit gyms can use it too.
Other CrossFit gyms follow our affiliate program. There's people doing the pressure program in CrossFit gyms all over the world.
That's fucking awesome.
Yeah. Yeah. So you don't have to come to Team Soul to follow any of our programs. You can follow them literally in this house in West Kendall.
That's pretty cool, man.
Yeah, we have programs that you can do at home with minimal equipment.
So that came back. That's really, you really put the emphasis on that when COVID came in.
Yeah, like
so you found the opportunity in that.
Online coaching, like I said before, was always a big piece of CrossFit. CrossFit's like the foundation of it existed on CrossFit.com on the internet. Like I said, like file sharing and message boarding and stuff like that. You know, that was like the original energy. Kind of like how jiu-jitsu exists on Reddit.
Right.
Is how CrossFit used to exist on the internet. You know, so online coaching was always a big thing. And we have always offered our CrossFit programming online, but we didn't diversify quite as much and segment all these offerings like we do now to put on this app.
Okay.
Yeah.
So,
and that happened after COVID.
So how does it look for the one that's specifically for the combat athlete?
Like so if you're a combat athlete, you can go to teamsoultraining.com and you can look at all the offerings and you can sign up for any program that you want. Okay. Any of those programs that we talked about. You know, maybe like you're like, I only want to focus on my cardio. We got a program for that. I only want to focus on my strength. We got a program for that. I want to focus on functional style CrossFit training. We got a program for that. Or you want to fully commit to a full strength and conditioning program. We have a program called Pressure that's available online for the combat athlete.
Oh, okay. So is that also customizable for them, for the specific athlete?
Yeah. So the way that it's programmed every day is a different style of training. Our conditioning days, we don't do them on the same days as our explosive days or our strength training days or our hypertrophy days or whatever we're focusing on that moment. We segment all of our stuff a lot.
Okay.
So that's what I was saying. Like if you're a combat athlete with limited time and like you only want to focus on conditioning, you can buy our Pressure program and just follow the conditioning days. If you're a combat athlete and you only want to focus on strength training, you can buy the Pressure program and only follow those strength training sessions.
That's pretty cool.
You know, if you want to follow the whole program, like a few guys do as well, you can do that, you know?
So how do you think grapplers should structure their training for specifically just on a general overview? Like, how do you think, in terms of strength and conditioning, how do you think they should structure their type of training? Well, like if you want to do it at the highest level, because I know you can segment that into like the type of participation.
Yeah. So I think having a personalized coach, like I said before, is always going to be the way. And I always will say the people with the biggest goals and at the highest levels should have an individualized and personalized approach to their training. Okay. Now, if that's not in the cards for you, if you don't have the time or desire or the discipline, you know, some of those coaches charge a shitload of money to do stuff like that.
Yeah.
So if that's not for you, you have to find a group program, in my opinion, bro, that is going to check the box for you the best. You know, we could debate about styles of training that jiu-jitsu athletes should be doing. And I'll tell you, our Pressure program, the foundation of it is a conjugate style program. I don't know if you're familiar with the
No,
gentleman.
I
No.
was gonna
So Louis Simmons, Westside Barbell. He is the godfather of American strength sports, and he developed a system called the conjugate method.
Okay.
And the conjugate method is the foundation of a lot of different things that we do in our gym. CrossFit itself is a conjugate style system where it's always evolving and always changing, essentially. The movements are always different. It keeps your nervous system guessing. It's a very dynamic program that focuses on a balance of going heavy and moving fast and every single thing in between. So, there's a lot of debate that like you could follow programs like that. I mean, shit, we write a program. I think the best thing you could do as a grappler is follow my program. It's made by grapplers for grapplers. Grapplers are giving constant insight to that program and what it should feature and the direction that it should take. But I think the most important thing you could do is find a gym, find a coach, find a training discipline that is going to keep you motivated to keep on fucking wanting to train.
Right.
Because there's so much shit out there.
Yeah,
there's so many schools. There's so many gyms. There's so many programs. We're the shit. I believe we're the best. However, you got to find the thing that's for you.
Right.
We were talking about cross training before we started recording.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? And I think there's a ton of value in that.
Yeah.
Because you're learning what you like and also what you don't like.
Yeah, it's true.
Like so in those formative years of me learning how to coach and me like taking it upon myself, all the education was on me. I traveled across the world, learning from different coaches, learning from different people and refining my craft. Literally, I would travel to different coaches, and I think cross training and doing that is incredibly important.
Yeah, man. It's crazy how in the jiu-jitsu community that's frowned upon by some people that like cross training is not allowed.
It's a famine mentality. It's immature. It's a famine mentality. It's very unfortunate. I think people who have that energy or people who you're probably not going to see here in long term. I think if they don't reconsider
they have to
having that energy, it's not it's not an energy that I get down with at all.
No, I mean, neither.
I really believe in high tide raises all ships. I say that in my gym every single day. Competition is uncomfortable. There are gyms that open that push us and threaten us. And all it fucking does is make my gym better and more well-rounded. It helps me make better decisions. So you can't wait. Like, why would you waste your time on telling people they can't go somewhere or telling people? It's also people are like treated like commodities too, which is very fucking strange.
I was about to say that. Like,
what are you doing?
They're treating you like you're paying this guy, and this guy's going to tell you what to fucking do.
Sometimes this shit happens to clients. Like, I understand from a bit. Like, look, I run a business too.
Yeah.
Okay. High tide raises all ships, and I really mean that. If I cannot provide for my coaches, and if they have other opportunities, they got to go get them, bro.
Yeah,
that's it. But like to my clients and to my coaches, a bunch of my coaches work in more than one gym, and I support that, and I believe in that. There are certain gyms and certain programs they can't coach at.
Okay,
there are, and I'm not even gonna front, but. It's for different reasons. They're like direct competitor. It's a different energy.
Yeah.
It's not the famine mentality that exists.
Right.
But that, and to treat some like paying clients like that is
that like that in the CrossFit world?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Again, we were talking about the same shit in 2012, bro. Like I said, that exists tremendously in the CrossFit world. What I got to do if that energy starts happening in my gym, instead of focusing on a coach or a client or whoever's showing an interest somewhere else, I got to make my gym better. Or it's time for them to go.
You got to compete.
Yeah. Like we compete. We compete in fitness, but we compete in, I'm going to fucking have a better business than you, bro. And I have a lot of homies in the industry and it's all love, whatever, but it's competition as well. But high tide raises all ships, bro. You can't treat people like commodities. I've learned that. You know why I'm so big on that and why I've talked to a lot of my jiu-jitsu homies about that?
Tell me.
Is because I've had that energy in the past, believe it or not. And I hate to admit that, but I've been
there. But you're like, just admit it, it's huge.
Yeah. And I was, and still can be a massive hater. I love it sometimes. You know what I'm saying? And I'm going to fucking keep, but like, yeah, dude, I've grown up in this space. I'm 39 years old and I've had a business for 14 years. I did not go to school. I dropped out in 10th grade. I'm a high school Miami shithead dropout. I've learned on the fly, educating myself as best as I can.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? And I've made a lot of mistakes, and that has been one of the mistakes. And I see that quality that people have, and I think it's so disgusting. So that's why, like, I call it out, and I think it sucks.
Yeah, man, it definitely does suck, and especially like,
you're not going to keep your clients like that.
Yeah, that's what I was about to say. Especially for the person that's imposing it, like it's got to suck for you too.
Yeah,
it's got to be sucking for you too to know that it's that weird insecurity that you have of living on a day and trying to keep it. It's got to suck too.
Yeah, man.
Not just for the person that you're applying it on.
Yeah. Instead of having that attitude, why don't you go to the academy that your students are starting to roll at? That's learning the leg entanglements and shit that you're not teaching. Go see what's up.
Yeah.
Instead of, whatever.
No, but it's true.
Yeah.
That's true. I agree with you 100%. It's definitely like that. So we're ending up here, man. Is there anything that you want to talk about specifically that you want to promote?
The best thing that I can promote, man, is like support our brand as much as you can. If you're in Miami, come through. If you're traveling, you're going to spend time in Miami, come do a drop-in, come take a class, come meet us, buy our merch, come support us in any way, shape, or form.
Yeah.
We're like, again, very DIY, homegrown, like literal family business.
Yeah.
Everyone that works for me and in my gym and is there all day are my family, my brother, my mom, my dad. Like, you're going to see these people every day. So, we appreciate any support people can give us at the gym or online. You can also buy our super dope merch online at teamsoultraining.com. All those programs that we spoke about and more, nutrition, personalized coaching.
That one I gotta look into.
Individualized coaching programs. Yes. Personalized nutrition, where we talk about your exact goals. We set up a customized plan to help you reach your goals based on your culture, your upbringing, et cetera, et cetera. Again, we really believe in an individualized, customized approach for everybody. And you can find all of that information about the gyms, whatever, on www.teamsoultraining.com, or just hit us up on social.
Yeah.
Danny Soul 305. What up?
That was great, man. That was a great podcast. I enjoyed it.
Thank you, bro.
Thank you for coming on, bro.